I hear a motion that we adopt the agenda?
There's a change to the agenda. Is this when you do this, or is that later? There is a change. One of the items has been deferred. Is that, do we go to that now, or sorry? Yeah, okay, later. Sorry about that.
Okay. Okay, so Melissa, you want to tell us about the changed agenda?
Sorry for the confusion there.
No.
There is one item for deferral on page 6, item number 12 at 1403 Paris. The applicant requests a deferral to a future meeting.
Great. So with that correction, do I hear a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Mayhall, second.
Second.
By Commissioner Cotton. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Agenda passes. Do I hear a motion for approval of the January 21st minutes?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Cotton. Second. Second by Commissioner Smith. Any comments? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Minutes approved. Do we have any council members with us this afternoon? No, seeing none. Thank you. We appreciate their service. Melissa, do we have a metrics review?
Yes, so for January 2026, we had 30 pre-application requests, 29 permits issued, 13 permits revised, and 91 inspections conducted.
Oh, busy month. Okay. And then, do we have any public comment? Do you want to describe that to people?
Sure. The Historic Zoning Commission has reserved 20 minutes, 2 minutes per person, at this time for public comment on items that are not having a public hearing today. If the item you'd like to discuss is on public hearing or on the tentative consent agenda, please save your comments until that item is presented. If you'd like to speak on an item on the tentative consent agenda, you will have the opportunity to remove that item for a public hearing. So this is an opportunity for people, if you're here for something that's not on the agenda, you have the right to speak for up to 2 minutes, but if the item's on the agenda, we ask that you wait until that time.
So seeing none, we'll move on to items for deferral or withdrawal. Anything other than what you mentioned before?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, good. So, I never did understand why we approved the agenda and then did that further down, but anyway. So consent items. Melissa, you want to take us through the consent items?
Yes. So items on the consent agenda will be voted on at a single time. No individual public hearing will be held, nor will the commission debate these items unless a member of the audience or the commission requests an item be removed from the consent agenda. So I'm going to go through and read each case one by one. Starting with page 3, item num 1 is the admin permits issued for the prior month. Is there anyone here in opposition to this item? Okay, this item will be on the consent agenda. On page 4, item 2 at 1508 Ordway Place, is there anyone here in opposition to this item? Seeing none, this item will be on the consent agenda. On page 4, item number 3 at 1506 North 17th Street, is there anyone here in opposition to this item? Okay, seeing none, this item will be on the consent agenda. On page 4, item number 4 at 112 South 14th Street, is there anyone here in opposition to this item? Seeing none, this audience will be on the consent agenda. On page 4, item 5 at 500 North 17th Street, is there anyone here in opposition to this item? Seeing none, this item will be on the consent agenda. On page 4, item number 6 at 2113 11th Avenue South, is there anyone here in opposition to this item? Seeing none, this item will be on the consent agenda. On page 5, item number 7, 1912 Wildwood Avenue, there has been a request to pull this from the consent agenda, so this item will be on the agenda to be heard. On page 5, item number 8 at 1834 4th Avenue North, is there anyone here in opposition to this item? Seeing none, this item will be on the consent agenda. On page 5, item number 9 at 1230 6th Avenue North, is there anyone here in opposition to this item? Okay, so there is somebody here, so we will remove that from the consent agenda to be heard at the end of the hearing. Thank you. On page 5, item number 10 at 1903 4th Avenue North, is there anyone here in opposition to this item? Okay, this item will be on the consent agenda. Lastly, on page 5, item number 11 at 1119 Fatherland Street. Is there anyone here in opposition to this item? Seeing none, this item will be on the consent agenda. So I'm now going to read through all the consent agenda items as legal information. As information for our audience, if you're not satisfied with the decision today, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery Court or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the commission's decision. To ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements are met, please be advised to seek your own independent legal counsel. So going through the consent agenda items, starting on page 3, item number 1, the request is to approve administrative items. Then item number 2, on page 4, 1508 Ordway Place. The recommendation is to approve with conditions. Item number 3, on page 4, 1506 North 17th Street. The recommendation is to approve with conditions. Item number 4, on page 4, 112 South 14th Street. The recommendation is to approve with conditions. Item number 5, on page 4, 500 North 17th Street. The recommendation is to approve with conditions. Item number 6, on page 4, 2113 11th Avenue South. The recommendation is to approve with conditions. Item number 8, 1834 4th Avenue North. The recommendation is to approve with conditions. Item number 10, on page 5, 1903 4th Avenue North. The recommendation is to approve with conditions. And then lastly, item number 11, on page 5, 1119 Fatherland Street. The recommendation is to approve with conditions. So staff recommends approval of these items on the consent agenda with their applicable conditions.
So I hear the revised consent agenda. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So
Commissioner Smith, second by, thank you. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Great, it passes. Great. Okay. Next item.
Okay. So first up is 1100 Lawrence Street. This is a circa 1973 brick structure that does not contribute to the historic character of the Waverly Belmont Neighborhood Conservation Zoning Overlay. MHCC staff issued an administrative permit for the house's demolition in October 2025. Also in October 2025, MHCC approved with conditions a design for infill for this lot, but this application represents a new design. Here's the proposed site plan. The infill meets all base zoning setbacks, and the house's front setback matches the house to its left. The outbuilding seen on the site plan is not part of this application. Here's the front elevation. Overall, staff finds that the proposed height, width, and scale could meet the design guidelines and the historic context. However, staff questions the foundation height as drawn. The proposed height is drawn at 25 feet, 3 inches. However, the grade is not reflected on the drawings, and Metro Maps does show some grade on the lot. In addition, staff has concerns that the low foundation height that is under 1 foot cannot be constructed and meet code unless they are using a slab. If the foundation grows, the overall height of the infill may grow as well. Because the final height of the infill with the grade and with the foundation height are not accurately represented, staff cannot say whether or not the height is appropriate. Here are the proposed side elevations. Note the enclosed front bay, which I'm going to discuss in detail in the next couple of slides. Back to the front facade. Staff finds that the front facade's massing, roof pitch, and shape do not meet the design guidelines. The front porch is a single-story, partial width porch with a shed roof form. Adjacent to the porch is a 1-story bay with a hipped roof. This form is not found in the Waverly Belmont Neighborhood Conservation Zoning Overlay. While the Parthel Witch front porches are a common feature in the Waverly Belmont neighborhood, staff finds that this partial width side porch, or front porch, in combination with a shorter front bay, does not meet the historic context. Staff spent some time looking at houses with partial width porches, front porches, and with front bays. And in looking at that, we found 2 dominant types. One is a partial width porch with a low shed roof form on folk Victorian houses with hipped and pyramidal roof forms. For these houses, they typically abut a gabled bay with the gabled bay extending several feet into the upper floor. So here are 3 examples within the Waverly Belmont overlay. The second common form is a side gable house with an off-center, partial width front porch. In these houses, the porch form is gabled to match the main roof form, and the dormers are offset to one side, opposite the roof, to allow for a larger porch roof. So here are some examples from this neighborhood. And 2 more examples of this form. You'll see that 923 Benton has a gabled bay detached from the porch roof but is not similar to what is proposed. What is atypical in the proposed design is that the bay has a roof height that matches the height of the porch roof, where in other bay examples, the bay roof is significantly taller than the porch roof. The hip roof form of the bay is not wholly integrated into the main roof form and is only use of a hipped roof form on the infill. Staff finds that the front porch and bay design does not meet the design guidelines. So in conclusion, staff is recommending disapproval of this project. I believe the applicant is here.
Applicant, if you'll come forward, if you want to make a presentation, please give us your name and address.
Lee Ross Dinwiddie. I'm the architect, P.O. Box 743, Franklin, Kentucky. So this is a second submission. It's a many times over altered version of the first edition submission, but we agreed it was different. So we agreed to kind of go back through the process. Over the iterations of changes, we ended up with a hip, partial, bay, partially enclosed front porch just by iterations of changes. We're completely agreeable to a gable bay on the front. Probably would have been our first choice anyway, but like I said, many iterations of changes that were unrelated. And we sent out a drawing earlier this week. And when we do that, we intersect the dormer, and I think we can revise the dormer some. So I'm confident we can come to a consensus on those elements. And so if the board was willing, we would seek for a conditional approval and work with staff to get that corrected. As far as grade, I'm confident we can work that out too. There is some fall to the right. Our crawl space would be basically a pit underground. We can work that out. It's a simple construction detail, but we don't want a slab. Not good for the longevity of the neighborhood either. Okay. But if the board's willing, we would be happy to work out with staff with the front facade. That's our first partially enclosed front porch. We usually don't end up with these, but the nature of the lot kind of required it.
Thank you, Mr. Woody. Any other questions for the?
Mr. Wood is small detail, but the choice of full height stone column on the front porch, I don't know every home in the neighborhood, but I didn't see any examples. It was sort of partial brick, and it seems unfitting with,
right.
And I know this is way down in the details, but it seems not to fit with the rest of the material choices on the project. Is that tied to that, or tell me a little bit about that?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I think we were partial brick, partial stone at one time, and those were left over, but most of the homes in the area are full trim columns, no masonry above porch. And we would agree that's more appropriate. But yeah, so we're happy to, we're usually pretty agreeable, and especially in this case, I think this one, we weren't, the final staff review caught us a little off guard, but we're very agreeable.
Sure. Small details, but I think likely, my guess is that would be a veneered stone product that might make it even less desirable at the end of the day.
We've never done that before, but
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We definitely unfavorable.
Great, thanks.
One thing I just noticed on the presentation, Melissa, would you show the left side elevation? Was there any discussion on that large expanse of blank wall in terms of adding some windows? Would that be possible? Or I think usually that's a requirement.
Yeah, I agree that we probably should have caught that, but got worked up with the bay details.
Understood.
But yeah, adding a window, I think would be advisable there.
Okay. Other than that, I'm comfortable with approving with these conditions, so that the builder applicant seems to be comfortable with also.
Robin or Melissa, would this qualify under new information, and do we need to sort of go through the process of considering new information. I don't want to put impediments in the way, or I'm not interested in that. I just want to make sure we follow process and procedure correctly.
I'm not sure if I'm getting what you're asking, sorry.
I think there was a submission earlier in the week with the Gable form, instead of with the
Right,
Gable
yeah.
form.
Yeah, I don't have that in the PowerPoint or
And
easily
it's
pulled up yet.
not present to us, but
Right.
certainly the applicant is
We
willing.
still had some concerns about that, though, just going back to the front facade, just the way, because it did kind of, it was like this, but with a gable versus a hipped form, and it kind of went into the dormer, and again, a lot of the historic examples, usually there's kind of like an offset dormer, so you're not having that issue, and then usually too, also well, you don't really see that many bays on this form either, I guess mostly you see the bays on the kind of the pyramidal forms. So I think if there's any design direction, if you thought that a gabled bay could work with this overall roof form, any direction you could give would be helpful for the applicant and for staff.
Sure. Understood.
And I actually wonder if a conditional approval, if we can capture all the conditions on this, there are a number of issues. I'm wondering if just, if we did a denial, then he could still come back and work with you. It sounds like he's willing to work with staff on all the things and then go for an
It would not
administrative
preclude him
permit.
from coming back next month or a future month.
Okay.
Yes. But he would have to come back, so if it's a disapproval, he has to come back. If a approval with conditions, theoretically could be staff. But it also could come back if we can't work it out.
Oh, so you could, so if it doesn't work out, it'll come back anyway, even if we did the
Right.
approval with conditions. Okay, I'm good with that. Okay. We have a public hearing coming up, so we appreciate it, Mr. Woody. We'll
Thank you.
do that and then some deliberation. Does anyone wish to speak for or against this project? Please come forward. Seeing none, close public hearing. Commissioners, discussion?
Actually, I think I'll change what I said earlier. I think with the number of conditions that are needed here, it might be better to just go ahead and disapprove and ask the applicant to work with staff to revise the design and bring it, either get it on the consent agenda or administratively approved, rather than just approving it here with conditions.
Okay. Other comments, thoughts?
I was just gonna say it would take one of the architects on the board to walk us through this, because I don't think I could come up with everything that needs to be done, so.
Sure.
But maybe David's right, seems like a lot. But if we can do it, I'm fine with that too, but.
Any thoughts, Commissioner Mosley?
Always got thoughts. I mean, I don't want to, I think it could work either way, but Commissioner Price has withdrawn his recommendation, so I think it won't involve more time one way or the other for the applicant. That would be the reason to do it or not do it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Do you hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. With respect to 1100 Lawrence Avenue, I recommend disapproval and in accordance with the staff recommendation, and hope that the applicant could meet with staff and iron out these design issues and come back with a design that does meet the design guidelines.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mayhall. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. And we appreciate, Mr. Woody, you working with us and working with the staff. Sounds like you're headed for a good direction on this and a good resolution, so thank you. Okay.
Next up is 117 2nd Avenue North. It's a 20th century commercial style structure that contributes to the historic character of 2nd Avenue. The facade dates to after the widening of 2nd Avenue North in the mid-1920s. The applicant is proposing a two-story rooftop addition, as well as to make some facade alterations. Staff is recommending approval of this project and the next project, which is very similar. So both 117 and 127 are the same applicants and very similar designs. But we're presenting these both just because it's still relatively new, allowing two-story rooftop additions on 2nd Avenue. And just wanted to make sure that you saw this and saw what they submitted as evidence that it's not visible and make sure that that met your standards. So as a refresher, the Second Avenue Historic Preservation Zoning Overlay Design Guidelines were revised in 2024 to allow for a second rooftop story when the addition meets all other design guidelines, does not exceed the number of stories allowed by base zoning, which this one does not, and is designed to be located to be invisible from any point across the street. The first level of the rooftop addition is stepped back 30 feet and is no taller than 15 feet above the parapet, which meets the design guidelines. The second level is stepped back even further and is seen here not to be visible from any place directly across the street. So just a little bit of clarification that there's no requirement for the first level of the rooftop addition to be invisible. Many of them are visible downtown. It's just that second level that is required to be invisible. The applicant has also submitted additional drawings of visibility from 6 various positions along Second Avenue. I'm going to run through these now. And what you're seeing here in this one is that first level of the addition. Again, no requirement that that be invisible. Here is the front facade elevation. Staff finds that the proposed changes to the front facade to meet the design guidelines. The storefront is not original, and the new storefront design is appropriate to the historic building. The building lost its windows after the 2020 bombing, so new replacement windows are appropriate. So in conclusion, staff recommends approval of the rooftop addition with the conditions that you see there on the screen. Is the applicant here? Yes, okay, yeah.
And just one other thing, just for the public out there, you may have seen the front elevation, the photograph of this building as it currently sits and said, gosh, that's not like those Victorian buildings I'm used to seeing on Second Avenue. Well, an interesting thing happened on Second Avenue. A lot of those Victorian buildings go back to 1870s. Well, the ones on the left-hand side, when trucks replaced horse and wagons, the street wasn't wide enough for the trucks to turn around. So in the 1920s, they took off the front, I think, 20 feet of the buildings on the west side of Second Avenue. So in some cases, you've got the beautiful Victorians on one side and then sort of plain Janes on the other. And that's because they sliced off the fronts of those buildings. So, just a little trivia for that. So, does the applicant want to come forward? Thank you.
So my name is Kyle Pritchard. I'm an architect at Paradigm Studio, address 761 Old Hickory Boulevard, Suite 301. I feel like Melissa really hit everything. Honestly, you and I have been working on this building on and off for the past, I think, 5 years. And so it's been a long story coming. Ultimately, with the introduction of allowing the second story addition, the current owner of the building was really interested in doing so. And so we've gone through a couple of deferrals over the past few months, exploring that and what would be required. We've done some modifications to the building, such as shortening the canopy over the front doors on the second floor, as well as removing some other elements that were visible. So not much else to add beyond that at this point.
Any questions for the applicant? No? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on either for or against this project? Seeing none, I'll close public hearing. Commissioners?
Melissa, I'm glad that you pointed out that it's really just the second floor that's supposed to be invisible, because I was tripped up on that when reviewing this, so I found that helpful. And other than that, I think meets the guidelines as we revised them a couple of years ago. It seems like a good project. And I appreciate the applicant's patience in working over the last 5 years. It's probably been a real saga, so thanks a lot for that.
Anyone else? I will say it's great to see another couple of buildings coming back to life on Second Avenue. It's been a long haul, and that's great. Do I hear a motion?
Sure. With respect to 117 Second Avenue North, I move for approval with staff conditions.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cotton. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Great. Thank you very much. Motion passes.
Okay, next up is 127 Second Avenue North, which is a very similar project to the one you just approved. it's also the same applicant. It is also a 20th century commercial style structure that contributes to the historic character of the district. And like the other one, its facade was taken off in the 1920s. And so its facade is more of a early to mid 20th century design. So like the previous one, the applicant is proposing a 2-story rooftop addition, but this one is not proposing any facade alterations. The first level of the rooftop addition is stepped back 30 feet and is no taller than 15 feet above the parapet, meeting the design guidelines. The second level is stepped back even further. And it is seen here not to be visible from directly across the street. And similarly, they've provided different views from across Second Avenue showing that it is not visible. So I'll go through those now. Here's the front facade and the rear elevation. Staff does find that the applicant has adequately shown that the project won't be visible from across the street. Again, it's that second level, that's where the visibility comes in. And staff is similarly recommending approval of the rooftop addition.
Does the applicant wish to speak again?
If you can,
For the record.
yeah.
Got it. It's Kyle Pritchard, Paradigm Studio, 761 Old Hickory Boulevard, Suite 301. The only thing I'll add on this one, Melissa, is we did add the front canopies on the front of the building. But that's the only modification to the existing. I think it's cool that you actually really don't see even the second floor on this one based on the views that we sent y'all. So that's it.
Excellent. And I think the canopies really work, since those sidewalks were widened to be able to allow for outdoor dining, having some coverage for those is important. So that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Kyle, just a quick one.
Yes.
I didn't think of this on the previous one, but certainly we've run into it before, and when you look at these, we don't review use, but when you imagine what's going to happen in this building, and that's not of our purview or concern, where I'm getting to is when and if you have restaurant use and the mechanical load that we're adding with multiple stories and some of those things, what the mechanical load is and sort of where that equipment ends up and its visibility and some of those things depending on where you stand, or where you're observing from pedestrian bridge, down Broadway, some of those things become much more, appear much more looming than others do. And so that's my curiosity question of what sort of mechanical equipment, if it's been designed, might we see on a rooftop in this situation?
We don't know what the ultimate design is going to be at this point. I will say, if you go back to the axons, it's limited space for sure. But on the second floor addition or the fourth floor addition, we do have some space for equipment to be placed in that location. We don't know that the height of that equipment will be at this time, though.
Sure, and I think when you look at the view shed on this, and I'm imagining, the type of equipment, and the limitations of, doing 4 stories, 4 stair, you could probably get a box up there that would, go straight down. You'd eat up a low floor area. I'm telling you your business, but even that I don't think would be visible in this case. But just a question, I think something for us to consider in the total view of these added floors. And you can see the footprint available start to squeeze back, and so that means things are bigger, taller, wider in the end, and also part of the building, or certainly we're in the business of aesthetics, so again, it's just something worth considering. I don't see a problem on this one, but certainly we don't want to let those things be unintended consequences of what we approve.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak to this project? Seeing none, close public hearing. Hear a motion or discussion?
Well, I suppose y'all know that this was the home of Robin Realty for decades. 40 years ago, Mr. Robin came to my teller window, and he was the sweetest man in the world. And so, but we move on, and I'm happy to see these buildings come to life. So, thank you. With that being said, you want me to make a motion? Make a motion to approve 127 Second Avenue North,
With conditions, right?
with conditions.
Here, a second? Second by Commissioner Smith. All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you very much. Great. Good. Okay.
Okay, we're moving on to the two items that were pulled from the consent agenda. The first is 1912 Wildwood. The house at 1912 Wildwood dates to circa 1938 and contributes to the Hillsborough West End Neighborhood Conservation Zoning Overlay. This application is for a rear addition that will more than double the footprint and has an attached basement level garage. The existing house is approximately 965 feet. The proposed addition more than doubles the existing footprint, adding about 1,294 square feet for a total footprint of approximately 2,259 square feet. Staff finds that the additional footprint is appropriate in this instance for several reasons. The house is quite modest at less than 1,000 square feet and sits on a large lot that is more than 12,600 square feet. Additionally, the house has a deep front setback and no alley, making it difficult to achieve both a rear addition and a detached outbuilding. An outbuilding on this lot could be up to 1,000 square feet in footprint. Thus, staff finds it appropriate to allow a modest amount of extra square footage on the primary structure, which helps the applicant to achieve covered parking. Here are the side elevations. Oops, sorry. The change in grade allows for a basement level garage along the left side. Basement level garages are allowed in the design guidelines. The first level insets 1 foot and the second level itself insets 2 feet. Here is the front elevation. As seen from the front, the addition nicely tucks in behind the existing house. It does include a ridge raise, but steps no wider than the historic house. So staff is recommending approval with these conditions you see on the screen, which are largely our standard conditions. You did receive public comment on this project, and also the applicant submitted handouts which have been put in front of you. Just a note about public comment. We typically give people a deadline of the Tuesday before the hearing, the day before the hearing at 10 a.m. to get us comments, to give you guys time to read it. We will still add it even though afterwards, but we give them that deadline. The way that with the notifications, you guys may be told on Thursday or Friday, that there's everything's on the server or on the folder, but we still get public comment after that time.
Okay, the applicant wishes to come forward.
Name's Curtis Johnson. I live on 1704 Cedar Lane, 37212. Appreciate staff for your time and appreciate Jenny, who we worked with. I feel we did a good job trying to fit this house in the lot. It's kind of angled and it's difficult to do that. It's touched on with the garage that we are removing. It's a semi-attached carport garage structure that sticks out. I don't think there's any, there's the picture. It sticks out quite a bit further than the home, and that's kind of the first thing you see when you drive by. So we were able to remove that and tuck it in behind, and I thought that was a good design we came up with Jenny. And it does more than double the existing dwelling, but when you consider the garage and the size of the home, it really doesn't then. So I'm here for more comment if you have any questions, and I can sure answer any questions. My architect is here as well for more technical questions if you need those. And if you have any questions now.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Open public hearing. Do we have anyone that wishes to speak to this project? Please come forward.
Thank you. You hit a buzzer when it's 2 minutes.
It's right over here.
I know, well, I can't read my notes and look at the clock, so y'all just
Okay.
yell at me.
Sure.
I'm Sandra Shelton. I live at 1830 Wildwood, which is right next door to 1912. The numbers jump. I bought in 1974 and was the one who implemented the historic overlay for Wildwood years ago. I just want to say our street was a subdivision created in 1941 by Walter Stokes, and all the houses were built that year in a minimal traditional style. I have in your packet the subdivision plat, an article from the newspaper about the development, and photos of all our small, minimal, traditional houses surrounding 1912. I bought here because it was affordable and consisted of more green space than house. As you can see in the staff recommendations, the overhead shot shows small houses with nice backyards. Now I want to read from the Belmont Hillsborough overlay guidelines. It says, no matter its use not to be larger than the existing house, not including non-historic additions in order to achieve compatibility and scale. And that bump out on the left-hand side is not historic. This will allow for retention of small and medium-sized homes in the neighborhood. You might as well eliminate the word small. The diversity of housing type and size is a character-defining feature of the historic districts. And ridge raises are most appropriate for one-story side gable buildings, which this is, and that require more finished height in the attic. The purpose of a ridge raise is to allow for conditioned space in the attic and to discourage large rear or side additions. I'd say this is a pretty large rear addition. Most of us on the street have raised the attics, most of them without a ridge raise, just to give additional space in the attic, not to add on to the back. Am I done? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shelton.
Questions? I didn't ask anyone to come from the neighborhood. I'm not an officer. I am a member, and I've lived in the neighborhood for 52 years. I've been a member of Belmont Hillsborough, so am I representing the neighborhood? You tell me. Anything else?
No, thank you, Ms. Shelton. We
Okay.
appreciate it. Anyone else wish to speak?
Hi, my name is Janine Cristiano, and I'm at 1911 Wildwood. And you received a letter that was drafted and signed off by several residents on our block. And so I'd like to read a portion of that now. So we are writing as neighbors who deeply value the character of our historic neighborhood and the principles of the Metro Historic Zoning Commission that you all protect. Here to ask you to deny the requested variance and proposed addition at 1912 Wildwood Avenue so that the architect and owner can work with staff on a design that more is in line with the overlay guidance, which could include, an outhouse building of 1,000 feet. So to be clear, this is not an opposition to improvement or investment. It's wonderful to live in a neighborhood where well-maintained homes are, and there are updates made that are in line with our agreed upon standards. But the proposed addition does not do that. So in the handbook, there were three major areas where it seemed that the design veered. And, some have been mentioned by Sandra and also earlier by staff and in the staff report, scale and compatibility, relationship with the surrounding homes, and the nature of the variance request. So regarding the scale and compatibility, in the guidelines, it says that compatibility is in harmony in terms of the massing, design, and scale, with the other properties. And so just looking at the designs, it doesn't seem to fit that. And just to note, an article that was written in April on about Belmont Hillsborough, Alex Pemberton describes what happens when projects like this are consistently approved by the commission. Modest homes are gradually replaced by much larger structures. And that is all I have to say. And several neighbors have signed on, so you can review that. And just let us know if you have any questions.
All right, thank you. We appreciate your input. Okay. Anyone else? Close public hearing. Okay, commissioners?
Tell me something, can you read, is this large, is this the whole addition?
Yeah,
And that's the current existing house?
that's exactly right. Yeah, she's pointing at the floor plan that's on the screen. So the lower part that's single hatched is the existing footprint of the house, and then the cross hatched part is the proposed addition.
Well, it looks like the addition is larger than the existing.
It is, yep. Yeah, the
Do we
existing,
allow that?
the existing's 965 square feet. The addition is 1,294 square feet.
I didn't think that additions were supposed to be larger than the,
Melissa, you want to talk, you've got some of that in your.
Sure, yeah, so,
Sorry, I'll just jump in here. Before you get into deliberation, would you like to give the applicant an opportunity to
Oh,
rebut?
Rebut, that's right, absolutely, sure, sorry, thank you. Yeah.
Again, Curtis Johnson, 1704 Cedar Lane. Yes, that, you are correct on where the addition is, where the existing, but you kind of see the dotted line there where it says proposed demolition of 615. That's where the covered garage carport structure is that we are removing. So that, I guess it would be considered footprint of the original? No, okay. Well, regardless, it's an eyesore for sure, seeing from the street and able to remove that and tuck the garage underneath the house, I feel is more aesthetically pleasing than having a detached garage sitting in the back. So that's kind of our reasoning there.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Anything else? Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Thank you, Robin. Good.
To answer your question, no. The guidelines pretty clearly say that we're not, and our practice as a commission in my time here, we've not approved additions larger than the existing footprint of the house.
And I think the only time we've done that's when it was a really tiny house, like 650 square foot house or something, and, but nothing like this.
Yeah.
So.
In this case, I find myself sympathetic to the neighbors who are opposed to the application. And the reasoning for such a large addition has to do with whether or not there could also be an outbuilding on the property, which there's nothing in the guidelines that entitles an applicant or property owner to have covered parking. So it's not really something that guides my decision-making on this. And I actually think the way the guidelines are written is intended to sort of follow the historic patterns of development, which in this case would be a modestly sized addition that doesn't more than double the size of the historic house plus an outbuilding. That's what historically the pattern of development is, and we approve them all the time. So for I find myself sympathetic to the opposition on this one. I'd be interested to hear what other people have to say.
Could I maybe push the staff's reasoning or ask for more reasoning from the staff of why you felt this could be appropriate?
sure, and, what was it, the lot was large at over 1,200 square feet, or 12,000 square feet. The house has a deep front setback and no alley, making it difficult to achieve both a rear addition and a detached outbuilding. Again, an outbuilding, if it was detached, could be 1,000 square feet. And then also because the house is under 1,000 square feet in footprint currently, and that, again, that's not including, just so you know, that we took those numbers just from the historic portion of the house. Because it's under 1,000 square feet, we thought that a little bit larger could meet the guidelines.
Here's another question. So we're assuming this were to be approved, there's nothing to say that an applicant couldn't come back later and say, well, we also want an outbuilding, right?
As long as it met the guidelines and they were able to achieve it on the lot with the setbacks and separations.
That's where I have hesitation, because we're being asked to approve additional floor area here, space on the condition that, well, now we don't need an outbuilding. But we don't actually know that an outbuilding won't be proposed at some point and have even more density on the lot. So to me, that's not like a binding consideration. I'd rather stick with the guidelines as written and that we've consistently approved in terms of size of addition.
Well, and looking at the site plan, though, I don't really see that you'd be able to put an outbuilding on there, and there's no alleys, so it would involve both the driveway, and the driveway wouldn't be a problem, but just with the property line being that close, it would be awfully hard to meet setbacks and do that. But, and I do think actually tucking the garage underneath the footprint doesn't take away from the first floor footprint, but does, give a resolution to that. So I'm not as concerned about an outbuilding, but I too am concerned about the amount of square footage on this, footprint on this site.
Commissioner Price, I'm glad you brought that up because I wondered just in my mind that, the same thing, that there's no deed restriction or anything that says you couldn't. I think practically, part of the discussion here, in terms of questioning how do you get the logic to get from here to there is an interesting thought exercise in this case, because I wonder what a 965 square foot addition looks like within a 1,000 square foot outbuilding. And if that outbuilding isn't more visible, is it possible? In other words, are we preventing, and maybe we don't regulate, imagine things. That's not something we should be in the business of, but certainly by right, what the property owner could do, this or any other, is permitted to do is certainly worth consideration and us to deliberate further. I too am compelled by the documents that were submitted, and really thinking hard about the size of this as compared to what exists and what the guidelines say. So I appreciate this dialogue that we're having, but I'm wondering if it becomes punitive if we only allow the 965, and yet because it can't be tucked behind some future garage or something along those lines, is that even possible, and should it be a matter of consideration? I don't know if I've outlined a cogent argument or a coherent thought there, but I appreciate very much what you brought up, and I think the applicant would, if it's just a purely financial analysis, what can you fit on the site? Oftentimes we find ourselves in the pressures within this district and other districts are about that. I'm not suggesting that it's solely about that in this case, but it's curious. It's a curious way to look at it for sure. And I don't mean curious like unusual. That curiosity is invited in my mind.
One thing that's written into the guidelines a couple of times, and one of the public comment brought it up, is the stated intention to preserve small and medium-sized homes. We don't talk about that much as a commission, but I do think it's a consideration that we should, because it's written in the guidelines, and in my opinion, it's there both in the context of ridge raise and the size of proposed additions, the square footage. So it's there twice, and I feel like maybe sometimes it gets pushed aside by economic builder, contractor, whatever, interests rather than the neighborhood's interests when they wrote the guidelines in the first place.
But what's the total square footage as proposed, like 2,200?
It's footprint, not square footage, because we don't generally look at square footage. Yeah,
Sorry, I'm not an architect.
I know.
Not a mathematician.
I know it's
either.
pedantic, but like,
Right. Right,
So
you're right.
the total footprint after the addition would be 2,259 square feet.
Okay, thanks.
It's about 330 square feet larger than doubling.
Do we have any information on the average footprint on Wildwood?
I don't have that information in front of me. It may be, I mean, I know they provided photographs, but we didn't do, an assessment of additions.
We have a member of the public who does know that information. If we'd like to invite
Ms. Shelton,
Ms. Shelton to.
would you come up and, into the microphone, tell us?
houses were originally 950 to 965 square feet. Every house, some of got torn down before we had the overlay. And I'll add that we all have dated. There were attached garages on all of these, and some of us have turned them into other uses, but there are detached that we put on there.
Do we need her to do? Yeah. If you could come up for the record, and we got people in the neighborhood that.
Mr. Chair,
It's a
I
little,
move to reopen the public hearing.
yeah, reopening the public hearing, right. So,
Okay. All the houses on the street were 950 to about 965 square feet when it was developed in 1941. And it was so that veterans, World War II, returning, had an affordable place to buy under FHA loans. And for me, buying in the 70s, it was affordable. And Janine and her husband bought not that long ago, and it was affordable. You know, they have 2 children, they go to Christ the King, the kids can walk. This will not be affordable to anyone like Janine or me
okay,
or other people that live on the street who signed the petition.
okay. Thank you.
And the detached accessory dwelling units, we all had detached garages. Some have been torn down, some have been put to other use, but there are quite a few of them on the street.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, to me, this,
Do we
Oh,
need,
I'm sorry.
so do we need to close public hearing, but
Point of order, if we might want to offer the applicant a
That's what I'm
chance.
thinking.
Whether he wants to speak or not, we might want to
Mr.
offer
Johnson,
that.
do you want to say anything about that? Thank you.
Yeah, and I also live in the neighborhood. My kids go to school in Christ the King, and it's turned into a family neighborhood. And, you know, this is a 2-bedroom house, 900 square feet. The family's not, 4 or 5 person family's not going to live there. So I'm simply making a home that's an opportunity for a family to live there. So that's all.
Thank you. Okay, close public hearing now. How about that? Okay.
well, to me, Mr. Stokes had a vision of the type of people that he wanted to move into this neighborhood and the type of houses. We talk about affordability and how Nashville is getting way too unaffordable, and this is an opportunity. I think I understand the applicant's wish to make it a larger house. It would make the house a lot more valuable, I'm sure, but I'm against it. I recommend that we not approve the staff recommendations for the proposed addition, to 1912 Wildwood Avenue.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? Melissa, do you need more direction where we go with this, or is the conversation enough?
No, I mean, it sounds like, from my understanding of the conversation, is that they were no more than doubling. Something like a ridge raise and stuff would be something you would be amenable to. And the reason why this was on the commission agenda and not a staff level approval was because it was more than doubling. So it's possible, just full awareness, that if they come back with something that has a ridge raise but is not more than doubling, could get a staff level permit. Unless there's direction from you otherwise.
Well, and just, go ahead. Sure. So I guess one of the other things, and just to make sure that we're all together on this, my sense is the ridge raise is sort of a about right thing. I mean, we do that a lot. And as they mentioned, it's been done with other houses here as well. To me, the garage is appropriate if it's within the footprint. We're not looking at total square footage, we're only looking at footprint. So if the garage is tucked under, then it's less visible than the current garage is, and to me, I don't have a problem with that, so, okay. So, does that, Gizmo? Okay.
Couple of dumb basic questions. Would a detached outbuilding have to be completely tucked behind?
No, we don't require that it be entirely behind the historic house, particularly in neighborhoods like this where there are no alleys. You often see it to the side because of the pull-in from a driveway from the street.
That makes sense. What is, without the alley, what's the back setback on that outbuilding?
We set the setbacks, or you guys set the setbacks, and it's 5 feet from the rear property line, 5 feet from the side property line. It can be as little as 3 if it's under 700 square feet in footprint, under base zoning.
Okay. And are they required to demolish the non-historic part? If they come back with a new plan, they've reduced the footprint to 945,
Sure.
65, whatever it is. Could they then keep that part?
We would probably count that as part of the footprint. So there's no
But we're not
requirement.
counting it now.
I guess, what we're looking at now is the historic structure and comparing what is non-original to the historic structure. So we would count that because it's non-original to the historic structure, if that makes sense.
So this would count as like a second edition.
Right. And the reason why we do that is, this isn't the case here, but like say you have a house you built in 2015, an addition, then you keep adding addition every 5 to 10
Right,
years.
so
so
you're
it's-
saying
yeah,
you count
yeah.
this as a second
Right,
edition?
yeah.
You count that as
Yeah,
a first?
yeah.
Okay, but they could come back with 945 tucked behind and 1,000 more in the corner, because when the site plan with the setbacks that made it look the most unfeasible had a 20 and 10-foot setback. You're saying it's 5 and 5. It did have a 5-foot setback on the side.
Yeah, it's 5
but
foot on the
it-
side.
It gives them significantly more room back there.
Yeah, the 20-foot setback is for additions or for the main structure. The base zoning setbacks can be confusing, but we allow as little as 5 or as little as 3 from the property lines. The 3 is if it's under 700 square feet in footprint.
It's got to be 20 feet from the main building. Is that-
Yes,
is that my
yes.
Okay.
Especially since there's no, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. With no alley back there, there's no safety concerns. I think we've been pretty flexible on setbacks when it comes to alleys.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it is feasible. Like, I heard your objection on taking what you can get and then doing the other, and was wondering if we could do, it doesn't sound like this is where we're going. If we could do ask for a deed restriction. I mean, you have to record stuff to the deed just for stormwater and but it doesn't seem like we're going in that direction, so that's kind of a moot point. Okay, thank you for the information.
Just for clarity, the carport is a carport. It's open. It's not air-conditioned space. It's,
I believe it's just a carport, is that correct?
There's no garage door, but there is a roof.
right. Okay. Just for the record.
There's a motion and a second, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so we have a motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
What did that mean?
I should have said aye, I just didn't catch it.
Okay.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you all. 1230 6th Avenue North.
Give me a second while I find the slides. Okay. Okay, before I start, I just wanted to say, it's a fluke that I'm presenting all the cases. This is not some sort of new order. It's just that it happened to be all my cases, and I volunteered to fill in for Jenny. So in future months, you will be hearing from other staff members. I'm not just taking over, and it's a fluke. Okay, so 1230 6th Avenue North. It's in the Germantown Historic District, and according to the National Register nomination form, it's an 1850s 2-story brick house and is a contributing structure. The applicant proposes an 8-foot tall masonry wall around a portion of the north property line. The design guidelines limit fences and walls to 8 feet, and again, the design guidelines limit it to 6 feet, but they're proposing 8 feet. This aerial shows the proposed line of the new wall. 1236 Avenue North is a residence structure that is adjacent to a commercial structure that has an outdoor elevated seating area. You can see that here in the aerial. So here is the site plan. The applicant proposes concrete block until the end of the commercial structure, and then brick as a material past that, which is kind of the area where it will be more visible from Monroe Street. So here, the thinner and thicker lines approximate the transition from block, which is thinner, to brick, which is thicker. Here is a drawing of the wall. And here's an image of the site from Monroe Street. Staff finds that an 8-foot tall wall is appropriate in this location for several reasons. Located next door to the north is a commercial structure that has an outdoor elevated seating area. That is seen in the foreground of this image. Staff finds that the taller wall will help provide a visual and audio buffer between this residential property and the outdoor restaurant seating. In addition, the taller wall is only proposed on the north property line, where the house is affected by the commercial structure, and is not proposed for the alley. Moreover, in 2023, MHCC approved a similar 8-foot tall brick wall along the northern property line of 1228 6th Avenue North. You can see that brick wall here in this photo towards the back. And that was for similar reasons that staff is recommending approval now that the commission approved it. So, in conclusion, staff recommends approval of the fence, or of the wall, with the condition that MHCC approve the brick sample, finding the proposed wall meets section 3E51 of the design guidelines. And the applicant is here, and I believe there's somebody here for public comment as well.
My name is Martin Wick. I'm at 912 Bailey Street. I'm the architect for this. I don't really have anything to add right now. I'm mostly just going to save my time for rebuttal, but we've been talking with Melissa about this for a while. We already have an outbuilding approved for the site as well. I think there's been a little bit of confusion about the process because that construction has already started. And so there's work happening right now as we're presenting this, and we've had a couple neighbors reach out about that. But otherwise, we're working with Melissa, and we're happy with the wall as is.
Thank you, Mr. Wick. Open public hearing. Someone like to speak? Please give us your name and address.
Hello, I am Taylor Monin. I am the property owner and business owner at 1234 6th Avenue North, which is to the north side of this property. And I apologize, I've had very limited time to prepare for this, and I did send some comments today by email. Ultimately, our concerns, I'm not certain, are totally relevant to this meeting, but generally, like this gentleman said, there have been footings that have been poured, and there has been some kind of prep work for this wall that it's very close to the building where we are, or our building, and there's soil erosion and gravel that has been exposed that's underneath some concrete slabs that we put in. And we're really concerned that the design that has been presented for this wall is going to create situations where parts of our building that need to be accessible for cleaning and gutter cleaning and things like that are no longer going to be accessible. So again, I fully understand that this is on the agenda today because of the 2 feet difference of what's allowable. I just wanted to get my comments in hopes that we might get a little bit more time to work through some of our concerns with the people responsible for this project, so we can kind of make sure that there aren't any issues. The buildings in this neighborhood are very old, including ours, and I'm concerned about the structural integrity of our wall and our concrete slab from the work that's already been done and what will be done when the wall is built. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to this project? Close public hearing. So, would you like to button? Sure.
Yeah, I guess it does sound like it's more of like building codes and zoning concern than this board that we probably need to deal with. It's unfortunate. We have two different zonings right here, right next to each other. Theirs has a 0 setback, so their building is right on the lot. while ours, you know, it has the 3-foot setback, but we're doing a, you know, whether it's a wall or a fence, zoning allows us to build it right up to the property line, and so that is creating, yeah, some very close issues here, but I'm not sure that that's really for you guys to decide anything on. But thank you.
I do have a clarifying question. In terms of the footing for, well, property lines being very important, in terms of footing and construction of this wall, normally a footing would have, you know, be wider than the wall, but in this case, you'd kind of be founding this entirely on your property, or I'm assuming that would be the case.
Yeah, I guess I probably should have had the contractor come to this as well. I'm not sure what his final methods are for this, and where exactly that ends up. I know she's sent some pictures over that it's very close to their sidewalk, but again, if their sidewalk is right on that 0 lot line, then our footing can be right up next to it. So yeah, I can see where those issues are coming from. But I'm actually not sure how he ended up pouring that footing. I'd have to check with him.
Thank you. So I guess part of this is our purview in this is whether it's historically appropriate and within the guidelines. And that's really where ours stops. We don't have any enforcement or constructability or inspection purview over any of this. But I do think conversations with the owner, the contractor, and codes if necessary is probably the way to pursue that. Is there anything else on that? I mean, we still have to take action on this, but anything else that we need to address to the applicant and to the community? Okay.
I don't think so, just whatever motion you guys decide to make.
Okay. So,
Constructability is an interesting part of this conversation. I think it doesn't necessarily matter, but maybe I know too much. I think having the footings, there's been plenty of case law out there that is, again, not what we deal with necessarily, but that having footings for something on your property, on your neighbor's property, generally doesn't work out really well for the person constructing it. So I think just with that admonition to the applicant that it remain entirely in all its parts on their property. I think it, based on the staff's analysis and what I foresee in our previous discussions, I don't take issue with it.
You want to craft that into a motion?
Sure. With respect to the application at 1230 6th Avenue North for, as submitted, with acknowledging the discussion here today, I recommend approval as submitted.
Okay. We have a motion, second? Second from Commissioner Price. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Well, let's see what else. Historical Commission report. We have no representative from the Historical Commission.
But we do from the Planning Commission.
There we go.
I have a long report. I think we're taking up the Green Hills overlay next week on the 26th. At least that was my understanding. I think that's about the end of my report.
Okay, how about DTC?
With respect to DTC, our agendas have been pretty light since my last report, and so there's nothing new, and certainly nothing that is specific to a historic asset that I can think of.
Good. Great, awesome.
It's not on the agenda, but I did want to share some little information with you that Historic Nashville, Inc. has a new easement, and that's the Litterer Building, which is right across the street. And so it will continue to operate as it is now with the educational components that it has in it, but that means it is protected in perpetuity.
That's awesome. Yeah. That is awesome.
Oh, great. Yeah, it just happened, and from what I'm told, it happened pretty quickly, and there may be some development in the future of the parking lot in the back, but right now, I think it's gonna stay as is.
What do we know about the building next to that? Was it
Get it, James Geddes. Geddes Fire Hall.
That also is a historic landmark and has a easement. And they're just, there's a development plan for it. They're just trying to work out the details. It'll probably change, but whatever it is, we'll still go through review with two different bodies, so it'll be protected too.
And the same owner's littering.
Same owner, yes.
So,
That's right across the street from General Hospital, right?
It's kind of across the street from us, here.
right across here.
It was built in, I think, 1915 or 19 as a Vanderbilt.
Part of the Vanderbilt campus.
I heard that there was a tunnel running under the street.
Yes.
Is it really?
Between the fire hall and the,
So they've seen part of the tunnel when they bought the fire hall. And now that they have the Litterer building, they're excited to see the other half of the tunnel, because I'm sure it's blocked at some point, from the Litterer building. But I guess it was to move bodies back and forth.
Right.
and I have seen that from that side, from the Litterer
Have you?
building side, and it's a
Road
door
trip.
that you open and there's
Right?
masonry up there, so, yeah, so.
Maybe we can, yeah.
And there were
We'll
rumors
have to
of
do a
lots.
road trip.
Oh, yeah. And there were rumors of lots of other, you know, tunnels and things, so, anyway.
There's a tower on top and there is a.
Yeah.
I've been into it.
It's scary to go.
Wait, you just said
It's a reading nook. It's a reading nook for students. It does not have water.
I heard it.
You can climb up.
This is on the record.
Good, yeah. Yeah, this whole area has a pretty amazing history to it, so, and the Vanderbilt Medical was a big part of all that, so. Okay, with nothing else, we're adjourned. Thank you. One other thing, tomorrow, 11 o'clock, Fort Negley has a celebration for the start of construction of taking the Sound Stadium and the Sounds parking lot and turning that into part of the park, so.
So you're gonna tear down the sound stadium?
It's gone.
It's already gone?
It's gone, yep.
Oh, okay.
It's been gone, yep. Yep, we're
That's a
good.
good, we didn't get the MHC report, but has the director's position been advertised yet?
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network.